Hello and welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Cognitive Discourse. I'm excited for this episode because I have my second guest coming on, and it's somebody that I definitely am inspired by. His work ethic is amazing, and he's been a very successful individual, and I'm proud to call him my cousin. And so today we're gonna have him on to talk about his lifestyle. Has this vegan lifestyle that he lives by, and I'm really intrigued by it. And he just started his own YouTube page where he shows recipes off and everything. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about that. But before we do that, I want to introduce you to my cousin Blas Man. How you doing, buddy?
Oh man, I'm awesome, Joseph, and thank you for having me. And I really appreciate the kind words, man. I'm excited to kick this off, man.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen you from afar, and the cool thing is that growing up, I mean, we never really had a relationship growing up, but the cool thing with the way technology's been lately is I'm able to connect with you via social media. We've never lived close, so that's the reason why. It's not that we didn't like each other; we just didn't never really live close. So the only time we got to see each other was at like family reunions and stuff. And the last time that I personally saw you, I was probably what, like maybe 14 years old, and I
You were
had just started
just,
learning bass.
yeah, you were just learning bass, and that's really what brought you and I together. I think even closer because we had this kind of kinship and this love for music and writing music, and since I'd already been playing bass, and you just started, you're like, this is badass. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
And I remember I still have the book that you gave me. I remember you gave me a bass um, centric book that allowed me to learn. And of course,
Mhm.
when I first opened it, I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. It wasn't until I got later on in my bass career that I started to kind of understand what that book was. Um, but I've always been a fan of yours, and I've drawn a lot of inspiration seeing how you've like developed as an individual. You've been doing Muay Thai for how long?
Oh gosh, 23 years, 24 years, something along those lines.
Yeah, because I remember
Yeah.
growing up, that was how I knew my cousin Blas was. He was the MMA guy, and then I remember hearing about you moving to Thailand, and you were in Thailand for a
six
while,
months,
right?
6 months after I
6 months.
graduated college. Yeah.
Sweet. Now, did you go there for just to learn to train, or was that because you ultimately came back and you opened your first gym back in Texas? So was that part of that, or?
Yeah. So after I graduated, well, even before I graduated college, about mm, a year before I graduated, I told myself, I'm just going to go to Thailand. I want to go there to train Muay Thai specifically. And I had no idea what I was doing. I bought a one-way ticket. I sold everything that I owned just to get the money together to go, and I had a blast. I did have a connection out there, but he didn't speak very good English. But he ended up being my coach. I had no idea who he was. I found out just a couple of weeks later that he was considered, and still to this day, like one of the greats during the golden era of Muay Thai, which is like
Oh,
during the
nice.
early '90s. And when I came back, yeah, I had to get a big boy job, So I worked in a big boy job for a little bit, and then I opened a school with my wife in 2009 is when we did that. So yeah, there was quite a bit of time between 2002 there and 2009 where I was being a big boy,
I
working.
mean, and we all have to end up doing that. Like I
Yeah.
have a lot of friends that are dipping their toes into entrepreneurship type stuff now, and a lot of them are they made game plans. They said, I'm going to work for this amount of time, give myself a nice little financial cushion so I can take a year, 2 years off, and really put all my effort into said passion and try to create that as a business. And that was one of the things that you're one of the few family members that I have that I know that has started his own business and ran a very successful business at that. Um, now with I know you recently sold it, and so was that always the goal, was to build basically a business to be successful enough to turn around and sell it, or was it just that you wanted to move on and do other endeavors?
No, man, it was never, that was never my plan, and in fact, my wife, she would say sometimes, maybe one day we can sell the gym. And I was like, no, we're never selling the gym. I thought I thought I was gonna die on the mats, like some 90-year-old, grandmaster or something. But no, it just made sense, because without getting into too many details, there was a lot of, our lives were we're going in a different direction. My wife's life was going in a different direction with her career, and I definitely wanted to support that. And it wasn't easy by any means to come to the decision to sell the gym because, you know, there was a lot of great relationships that I had built and that I still have to this day with a lot of the students and the parents. So it was
Mhm.
tough, but yes, we ultimately wanted to try some different things in our lives, and so far so good. Yeah, I don't regret it.
And you mentioned, building the relationships. I think that's one of the things to its core of why I believe that you are such a successful businessman, and the endeavors that you take is that not only do you take pride in a lot of the stuff that you do and you have that passion, but you're an interesting person, and you get along well with others. And I think that you're willing to kind of bring that wall down and build those relationships with people. So you seem more, you're more approachable, and especially in the field that you were in, it's really cool to have those relationships, and the fact that you still have those relationships. 'Cause I see on Facebook too, like people who comment on stuff that you post. Those are people that you have from your gym days.
Yeah,
And you have these young kids who are growing up who still look at you as that positive figure. So I've always love seeing that, and that's always made me want to be a better person, and definitely helps me to bring my walls down, and just always try to be as genuine as possible with everybody that I meet, because
yeah.
you never know where life's going to take you. You never know where these people may come back into your life, and what kind of experiences that they can bring to the table for you, and it's always a learning experience.
Absolutely, man. There's a couple of things. I mean, I have some general philosophies I live by, and people have impacted me. I've had mentors in the past and have current mentors that impact me greatly. And, you know, one thing that somebody said to me a few years back is that really resonated is, life gives to the givers and takes from the takers. So, uh, and that always resonated with me because I was me and as well as the people I surround myself with, we're givers, we
Hmm.
show interest in other people with expecting nothing in return. And I think that's just such a much better way to live, in my opinion, So,
That's it's true, because I've one of the hardest things for me here recently is I've lost a lot of friends, a lot of close friends that I grew up with. But I think that a lot of that came from that. Is just I got tired of always being the guy that was the giver, and kind of, not that I was looking for anything in return, but then still just being painted as the bad guy a lot, or getting in business relationships with people who weren't on the same page as me. So it got to a point where I just kind of wanted to go out on my own and experience things. Now, I still don't forget about those people. I still try to keep them in the loop. I still want to build a community with some of these individuals. Um, but I definitely have changed my mindset here recently, and I definitely stopped relying on others, which was something that was a big problem of mine. People that I looked up to, like certain musicians and stuff. I always kind of wanted to collaborate with them, and I think at the end of the day, they always just had a different mindset from the way I wanted to do things. And
mhm.
so I think it's just better for me to go out on my own and try to build my own empire solo.
Yeah, absolutely,
Um,
man. That's awesome.
and one of the things that I to switch over now, so we've established you had a business, a very successful business. You were able to sell it, even though you may not have wanted to, but it was a new life change, new experiences. Um, you've never had quit in your heart. I've always see you're always doing something. You're always staying busy, and I see that you also are out. You have I don't know if you still do it, but I know you were doing like kind of like email type newsletters, sending out people, trying to help people build their MMA gyms and stuff. Was that just MMA specifically, or was it all kinds of businesses?
Yeah, it started off as that in the beginning, and I still do a lot of the digital marketing and email copywriting and stuff like that. But in the beginning, yes, it was only for martial arts schools, and it's kind of evolved into other industries. So yeah, I definitely still do that for sure.
Awesome. And then here recently, I just noticed, like, I know that you had been changing your diet. Like, how long have you actually been a vegan? Like, is that something that's been just a few years, or has it like gradually over the years kind of went that way?
No, it's I made a first attempt with my wife in 2015. She was more successful than I was back then. She lasted 6 months. I lasted 30 days. Um, but recently we've been it's been almost 3 years since the second attempt, and there's definitely reasons why this time around it was way more that we've been successful with it and sticking with it than before, but which we can get into later. But yeah, it's been about three, almost 3 years, not quite 3 years, but it's been close.
Cool. Well, I want to point out one thing. One of the reasons why I was excited to see you come out with a YouTube channel that is based around veganism. The reason why I was so excited about it when I first saw it was one, you're doing a cooking channel, which I inspired to do myself. I've been cooking a lot of crazy stuff lately, and I've been getting more into cooking from scratch. So like everything we make is from scratch. I'm trying to get away from buying frozen stuff and buying stuff in cans and like even sauces and stuff like that. I want to make everything from scratch. And so I eventually want to make a YouTube channel. So to see you come out with a food channel and it's based around veganism, I was like, hell yeah. The other reason why I wanted to have you on is because I like your mindset. I like the way you speak and your ideals about things. And one of the things that tends to push me away from I did an episode about isms, but one of the things that tends to push me away of people who carry the ism um, is that they tend to push their values very hard, and it comes from a judgmental standpoint. And knowing who you are and knowing how you are, you're not like that. You're a vegan because you want to be a vegan, not because it's trendy or because you're like, you know what, I want to be better than everybody else. Like you don't try to put yourself on that pedestal, and I respect that. And so I wanted to bring somebody who was an open-minded individual, who is non-judgmental, who practices this way of lifestyle, but is not going to down somebody else on the way that they live. And so I'm way more open to talk to somebody like that. And with your recipes, I'm way more open to try them because I know that it's coming from a place of like, hey man, this stuff is good. Not only is it good, but it's good for you. But if you don't try it, I'm not going to judge you for it. And so that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on. So with that being said, what inspired you to want to create a YouTube channel and share these recipes with others?
Sure. Um, it's there's a lot of reasons, man, actually, but probably one of the biggest reasons that inspired me to want to pull the trigger on creating, the lifestyle blog, the YouTube channel, and our Facebook group or our Facebook page is because I wanted to change people's perception of vegans. So there's a lot of vegans, man, that I can't stand. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I can't stand the elitist attitude and
Mm-hmm.
this, holier than thou BS that I see. It drives me nuts. It really does. And and I know eventually I'm going to get heat from other vegans, and quite frankly, I don't even care. But I'm tired of those bad apples ruining it for the rest of us who do choose to live this lifestyle, who do it from a place of real, true compassion and care for ourselves and for everybody else and for
Mm-hmm.
animals and stuff. And I just wanted to share, man. I just wanted to show people, man, look, you know, living this way can be fun. It can be beneficial for numerous ways, for numerous reasons, and you don't have to be a complete dick, to live this way. Um, and my wife and I, we when we were living in Phoenix before we moved to North Carolina, we met. I guess we saw and met a few people that kind of fit that category, but we also met some people who were super cool, man, like super cool, down to earth, just real people living this lifestyle. And I was like, yeah, man, this is how it should be, you know? Um, I mean, all my friends, for the most part, I mean, they're not vegan, and I don't judge them for the way that they live. You know what I'm saying? So that's the beautiful thing about living here. We have choices, and I think everybody should have the choice to live how you want to live.
Well, and I think in all fairness too, you have it's just every group has those type of people, regardless of what is veganism. I mean, you see it everywhere, and I think it's just you have these gatekeepers, you have these people who, again, like I said, they think it's trendy. It's the it thing right now. Like, because I saw that with kombucha. Like when I worked at Target, um, those things when I first started working there, they weren't working, or like they weren't selling. I was sitting on those things. I was getting a bunch of them, and then out of nowhere, a famous person started drinking it, and they were flying off the shelf. I couldn't keep them, So I think everything happens to become trendy at one point, and you're gonna have those people that kind of flock in and then flock back out. But the people who are true to it, who have a real reason for why they do what they do. Those are the people that I like to talk to. Those are the people I like to surround myself around.
Sure.
And I'm definitely a lot more open to try stuff because I know that it's not being forced upon me. It's just like, hey,
Yeah.
man, this is the stuff that we eat. Try it out. And that's one of the things I noticed in one of your videos. I don't know. I don't think it's on your YouTube. I think you posted it on Facebook, but you had did one about like the nacho cheese.
Hmm.
And you weren't that what I loved about that is you weren't trying to sell it like nacho cheese. You were basically like, this is a good alternative to nacho cheese.
Yeah.
Um, and so I like that too because I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm going in with the mindset of I know it's not nacho cheese, but this is an alternative and it can be just as good and I can eat way more of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. It tastes pretty damn close to like real nacho cheese. But the
It
point
looked
is,
like nacho cheese too.
dude, it's crazy. The point is though, like, there's a lot of people that hate that they're lactose intolerant.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And they can't eat nachos. Like me, I can eat a damn big ass plate of nachos and not feel guilty about any of it, and not even feel bad physically from eating it that way. But it's just about showing people options. One of the things I think that's important is, you know, it kind of goes back to why my wife and I went vegan in the first place. So my wife and I, our reasons are slightly different. So, my wife is, she has, I guess, her family, like her grandfathers and her father, they have heart issues, and her father a few years back had 95 or 96% blockage in one of his arteries,
Oh
and he
wow.
had to get rushed to the hospital, and he had two procedures done to have some stents put in just to open up his arteries, right?
Wow.
And so that was really scary for my wife. She was really worried about her father's health, and she told me flat out, she's like, I don't want to die in my 50s, from some heart issue, because we were eating really crappy back then. I mean, we were eating the sad diet, as they call it, the standard American diet. Lots of
Greasy stuff,
yeah,
huh?
lots of greasy foods and all this stuff. Not to say that you can't be healthy on a non-vegan diet, but
Hmm.
let's face it, man. Most people just eat like garbage, and that's how we were
Yeah.
eating back then. So that was one of her motivators, and then she also um, wanted to go vegan for ethical reasons, right? So that
Hmm.
was a powerful motivator for her. For me, it wasn't so much the ethical reasons in the beginning. Actually, it wasn't ethical at all in the beginning. It wasn't environmental at all in the beginning. It was purely health related for me. And what some people don't know, and I'm going to do a video about this on our YouTube channel, is like I thought I was having a heart attack at the beginning of a jujitsu training session,
Oh wow.
like in 2000.
That was probably terrifying,
Dude, yeah, in
huh?
2017, my chest started hurting. I got this tightness and pain. I got dizzy. I just fell to the ground. I was like, "Oh shit, I'm dying."
Oh
My
wow.
wife's not even here, and I'm like having a heart attack. And so my training partner at the time, he was like, "Man, we got to take you to the ER like now, Blas." So we took me to the ER. Fast forward, a few heart tests later, I was fine. My heart was fine. I just had like an anxiety attack or something. And the doctor said,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
it's pretty common. what
Mhm.
you experience from a anxiety attack and a heart attack, they're very similar. Um, but that
Well,
was like,
that's comforting to know. Like,
yeah,
geez, I don't know which one I'm having.
yeah. So that was a wake up call for me, man. My wife was obviously, concerned about that. She's like, we need to really take charge of our health. So we went to man, I can't even remember where we went to, but it was like one of these kind of these bohemian like fitness places that was doing like this presentation about plant based eating. So we decided to go and listen in on it. And of all the things this doctor was talking about, the only thing that resonated in my mind was the colon health, right? And how and like how good your colon health could be on a plant based diet. And I was like, I'm sold because I don't want to be shitting into a bag when I'm like 80 years old or whatever. So I was like, I'll swing the needle in my favor as much as I can. So, I mean, I kind of joke about that, but there was a level of seriousness to that. I was like, man, that really messed with my mind. So,
Well, not to
but
mention, like, I'm pretty sure most people, like, I know I'm at that point in my age where I'm like, every shit is an emergency. So if I can find a way to change it to where it's not, then I'm all for it as well.
and so it's so those were our reasons. For me, it was primarily health, but it did evolve into um, ethical reasons for me, and environmental reasons as well. And what I mean by environmental reasons is
Like the
so
factory farming
yeah,
and stuff, or
the factory farming and like these pig farms that just pollute the hell out of like local watering holes and stuff, and it impacts
Mhm.
communities there. That's like disgusting, man. That's what I'm talking about. That kind of stuff. It's
And
devastating.
I think that's where I agree with you as well. Like, even though I'm not a vegan, I'm a meat and potatoes kind of guy. But I've told Diamond that, like, if I can ever get to a point financially where I can be a woodsman and we can move out into a woody area and away from society, I definitely would feel much better hunting my meat. Not that I would ever go vegetarian or full vegan, but I definitely would feel better about going and harvesting my own meat to feed myself and my family. Because I'm totally against factory farming as well, but I have a very hard time walking away from beef and chicken.
Yeah, a lot
you
of
know.
people do, man. A lot of people do. You're not the only one. Hell, I know I did. In terms of the mindset, my wife jokes about it sometimes. She's like, "You used to be that guy who was like, I can't give up my steak or I can't give up my chicken." And but the funny thing is, and here's where it comes to the successful part of. I remember the first time I did this, I only lasted 30 days. And
Hmm.
I don't even remember what broke me. I think it was tamales or something like that. I don't know, but
It's in your blood, bro.
yeah. So, but what made it successful the second time around is that we had a game plan for starters. Number two, we were doing this together as a support unit.
That's always helpful.
And then we had some powerful motivators as to why we were doing it. In the beginning, I didn't have a powerful motivator. And then um, my wife made a really good point. She's like, gosh, it's so much easier to make the transition if you take foods that you used to eat and then make a plant based version of that, as opposed to just like all of a sudden just eating like, veggie bowls and stuff. I mean, I don't even eat that many veggie bowls. I mean, we eat some
Hmm.
Buddha bowls and stuff, but, I eat hamburgers just like everybody else. I eat, our Thanksgiving dinner is amazing. I have, green bean casserole, mashed potatoes, yams, all this. I have all the fixins just like everybody else. Um, but it's basically you're more successful if you can take a non-vegan meal and then get creative and try to find a way to turn it into a plant-based meal, right? And you'll hear me
That
use,
makes sense. I've been
yeah,
wondering like about that, and no one's ever been able to give me a good answer about that because I've always wondered like, why are you gonna give me a vegan burger when I can just eat a burger? Like I never understood why you would try to sell something that it's not, and that actually makes a lot of sense. Like it definitely helps to transition, like taking things that people normally like and enjoy, and then making a substitution of it that's very similar it I can't believe I never thought of it that way, but that's a very good logical way to put it, and like
Yeah.
makes sense.
So take for example the Burger King Impossible Whopper. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't put cheese or mayonnaise on it, that meal is 100% vegan, right?
Mm.
So the Impossible patty tastes just like a regular old burger, like Whopper patty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but is it the most healthy thing to be eating? Well, no, it's still fast food burger from Burger King. But
Mm-hmm.
what it does do is it now at least gives somebody a way to transition who's thinking about transitioning, a way for them to transition from that, non plant based way of eating into a plant based way of eating without feeling like they're sacrificing these indulging foods. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got tricked that way, believe it or not. I don't know if you ever been to Earth Burger,
Mm-mm.
but I didn't know that that place was a like I think it was a vegetarian. It might be vegan, but I know it wasn't. It was plant based food, and I didn't know that going into it. And I went to an Earth Burger when I worked at when I used to drive for a living. I just drove in there, and it didn't hit me that that's what it was. I mean, Earth Burger, it's in the title, completely over my head. I went in there and I ordered a chicken sandwich. I ate it, and it was so good that I ordered another one. And I felt guilty that I was eating two chicken sandwiches in one sitting. But then I was listening to the owner talk, and I was just like, wait a minute. And then because she was talking about the sodas that they had and how they made them, and like it had no high fructose corn syrup, and it didn't have all these dyes and all this extra stuff in it. And so I started kind of looking around, and I was like, holy crap, this isn't real chicken. And like I almost finished it, and I was like, but that was so good. That was my introduction into that world, and it makes sense now that like yeah, you have to eat. Sometimes you just have to ease people into it because we're bullheaded, and that's kind of the best way to kind of go into that and try something that you're not expecting to taste good that actually tastes amazing.
Yeah, and another thing that got me thinking too is, and of course I didn't really consider these things until a little bit into the journey, but I started thinking about my family history,
Mm-hmm.
particularly on the Carrasco side of the family. So we have been plagued with heart history of heart issues, and a crazy history of diabetes.
Yep.
And I was like, I do not want to end up like that. And there's enough there's enough medical research out there that that supports the healthy benefits of a plant based diet, right? And I said, you know what, I do have the power to change and to impact my health greatly. And it's not that diabetes runs in the family. No, shitty eating runs in the family. That's what really runs
Yeah.
in the family. So I just need to change that. And with my dad, I mean, my dad,
Mm-hmm.
he's 73 years old. He went, he went plant based, man, like 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago.
That's
And,
good.
and I just gave him I didn't even, I talked to him different than I talked to other people. I basically shamed him and shamed him into it. I said, hey man, if you want to live a long life and you want to live a long life to see, your son and your daughter-in-law and have fun in your later years, then you're going to ditch all this garbage that you're eating. And I want you to try eating a plant-based diet. And he's a type 2 diabetic. So he,
Yeah.
he,
So is my mom.
he got diabetes later. And man, the the marked I can't explain how much he's improved his how much things have improved for him in terms of his diabetes. He's not on near the amount of medications that he was before. I think he's down to like one pill. um,
Nice.
and
And I'm
his
sure he lost a good amount of weight too. Because last time I saw Theo, he had a
well
pretty big
he's
belly on him.
he's maintaining now. He's super active. I mean, 73 years old. He rides his bike 5 to 10 miles a day. He goes hiking in the mountains of Arizona. Dude, he's super active.
Nice.
And I don't know too many people that age who are out and about just living life. And, but he's open minded. He was willing to try it. And is he perfect all the time? No, but I mean, he's pretty like 95 to 97% like on top of it, and I'm still proud of him for that. Um, and if you notice, you'll probably hear me use the term plant based and vegan interchangeably, and there's a reason. So,
Oh, okay.
vegan, like you could eat vegan, right? You can eat a vegan diet and still be pretty unhealthy, um, because there's a lot of vegan processed junk food.
Oh,
So,
really?
so let's say someone is a non-vegan and they just eat a lot of junky processed foods. Well, if they transition to a vegan diet and they're still just switching one crappy processed diet for another crappy processed diet, then you're going to have still some lingering bad health. I apologize, my dog is barking in the background.
Oh, no worries. My
Um,
dogs do the same.
so you're not really improving anything. I mean, there's some slight improvements, I guess, but you're still eating processed, highly processed ingredients. Like for example, vegan ice cream. Is that good for you? No, it's still got a lot of calories. So
The only thing that makes it different was that you're just basically cutting the dairy out, right?
yeah, there's no animal products in it. So vegan
Hmm.
is more identifying the lifestyle of not consuming animals for or wearing like products that have that are made out of it, and so no leather shoes, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Whereas plant based is and there's some kind of mixed descriptions of this, but for the most part, plant based is basically the vegan part of eating, but technically a person could still wear like leather shoes and a leather jacket and be eating plant-based technically. You know what I mean? Because
Gotcha.
they're
Yeah.
not living the full vegan lifestyle. They're just eating plant-based. They're just not eating animals, right?
Yeah.
And then you have whole food plant-based, which is more a little bit more like the foods aren't processed at all. Um, the foods are not, they're minimally cooked, you know so it's a lot of
Okay.
fresh fruits, a lot of fresh vegetables. You can still eat legumes and rice and grains and things of that nature. So people who tend to have like a lot of bad heart issues
Hmm.
typically make the switch to a whole food plant-based way of eating, which is even a slightly different than just regular plant-based eating, because even plant-based the food can still be processed, right? So whole food
Hmm.
just means non-processed. Plant-based is can still have some processed foods, but it's definitely healthier than a lot of the junk
Yeah.
vegan or junk plant-based food. So there is some
And
difference.
typically, those people probably like they grow the stuff themselves more than likely.
I mean, I guess they could, So for
Yeah.
example, my wife and I, we just shop a lot in the produce area, and
Hmm.
we look for ingredients that are minimally processed. Um, are we perfect? Do we like getting like canned soups or like a vegan chicken nuggets or whatever? Yeah, of course we do. But we try our best to eat minimally processed foods, and we cook a lot at the house. Um, so yeah, and that's another reason why I wanted to kind of create the Easy Vegan 123 is I wanted to help clarify a lot of these terms, what they mean, you know, what's plant based, what's veganism, what's whole food plant based,
Hmm.
because there's a little confusion out there. And I just want people to be better educated, really, about the whole thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even know that it went that deep. Like, so it's, I'm excited to see your channel grow. I'm excited to see the videos that you bring to the table because, like I said, also there's recipes that you share that me not being a vegan, me not being used to plant based stuff, I definitely want to try because I'm getting there now. I just turned 30. I'm gonna be turning 33 this year. Um, but I'm starting to feel it, man. Just in my 30s, I'm already starting to feel out of shape. I told the wife I want to get back into, you know, looking good again and taking care of my body because I want to see my kids grow up. And I think your channel came around for me personally. It came around at a good time because I was having these discussions with her. I'm constantly battling heartburn. I'm constantly having indigestion problems. Um, I have pains in my chest occasionally, and it's just, I know that I'm not eating the greatest, and we're trying to pull away from fast food. And when my mom became a diabetic, about 4 or 5 years ago, was when it was the first time it hit us that we were like, hey, like that, I forgot that's a thing that runs in our family. We got to pull it back, and like you were saying, it's not so much the diseases themselves, it's just our family eats poorly. And
Yeah,
again, we come from a poor family. We come from a family that are used to killing their animals themselves and trying to make the best that they can and feed a bunch of mouths. So now we live in a society where we have options, and it's not really expensive to live that other way. It's
no,
just
yeah.
more of a mindset, I think.
Yeah, in fact, I'm glad you even brought that up. A lot of people will say, "Well, it's expensive to eat healthy." Okay, well, whether you're eating a plant-based vegan lifestyle or not, it's still not health. It's still not expensive to eat healthy. It's only expensive if you eat out a lot,
Yep.
right? So if you know how to shop, you know what kinds of things to get, you know how to make different kinds of meals. Man, you can make very healthy meals for a lot of people and batch cooking for very, very affordable prices. And
Yeah, me and Diamond lived on $100 every other week. Well, it was $100 every other week before we had our kids, so we were literally living off of $200 a month for groceries,
yeah,
and we survived. And then once we had kids, we upped it to we literally live off 400 now, so about 100 a week. And it's amazing how much you can buy when one, you budget yourself, but also you start thinking out of the box,
yeah,
and you start thinking, how can I stretch food and how can I still make it healthy enough to where I don't feel like garbage after I eat it.
yeah, sure,
uh,
sure.
and it's funny you mentioned that too, because I had a debate with somebody literally on Facebook yesterday about that. He posted a picture of French fries, and it showed the French fries were 99 cents, and then next to it he had a fruit cup, and the fruit cup was 5.99, and he's like, that there's a problem here. And I basically started kind of dissecting the meme, and I think he got kind of upset because he's like, I didn't post this so you could dissect it. It's factual, blah, blah. And I'm basically telling him, although your meme is factual, it's still misleading. Because yes, fries are 99 cents, and yes, a fruit cup is 5.99, but you also have to understand that it's a fruit cup that was cut by somebody else that has multiple different kinds of fruits in it. But if you were to go and buy in bulk and buy all those same fruits and make the fruit cups yourself, and you actually did the math, it would come out way cheaper than 5.99. I was like,
Yeah,
and I told him, I was like, I used to work produce, man. You're sitting there saying fries are 99 cents. Dude, you can go to the old store I used to work at right now and buy one banana for 19 cents. So if you were to add that up to equal the fries, you have plenty of bananas there, and you have a week full of snack. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's all misleading. I think a lot of the times people will take vague information like that and they run with it. It's not really that much of a difference financially to go from an unhealthy diet to a healthy diet. And I think if more people start being aware of that, they'll be more open. I think some people may just use it as an excuse as well, because they just don't want to change their diet. So they try to say, well, it's cheaper this way. It's like, yeah, you could tell me the same thing with soda versus water. You can buy a 2 liter of soda a lot cheaper than you could buy bottled water, but you could also just go to your sink and use tap for free. So
Yeah,
what's your argument there? You know?
yeah. It's always going to be more expensive to eat the healthy stuff at any kind of restaurant versus the other stuff that's far more in demand. Way more people want to eat fries and want to eat a fruit cup. So
Yep.
um, so really, I always tell people, if you want to be cost effective and really not feel that impact in your wallet, just eat as much as you can at home and learn how to cook. You don't even have to learn how to be a good cook.
Yep.
Just learn some basics and and kind of start getting creative. Just having some fun with. It's about just having fun, man. Just have fun with the stuff you're putting in your pie hole, and And I
Yeah,
think
cook
people,
what tastes good to you. Like
yeah,
everybody's taste is different, and I always approach that. I had that conversation with my mom with like she's starting to get into her. I'm trying to push her to have her own entrepreneur like mindset. I'm trying to change her mindset, and that's one of the things like I told her I was like when it comes to food, when it comes to music, when it comes to anything, like it all boils down to preference. You know, just because you like something doesn't mean somebody else is going to like it, and just because somebody else likes something doesn't mean you're going to like it. Doesn't make that person wrong.
yeah,
So if you're experimenting in the kitchen and you're cooking, there's no wrong way to do something. It's ultimately, did you make something that you enjoy? Did you have fun when you were doing it?
yeah.
Do you feel proud, a sense of pride after you've made it and you ate it? Like that's what matters. And if somebody else doesn't like it, who cares? You made it for yourself, and it's a healthier option, and you had fun while doing it.
Yeah, I think the probably the most important thing for people to keep in mind, and it goes back to what I said earlier, and it actually ties in. The same thing could be said about entrepreneurship or business ownership. Is and it sounds cheesy and woo woo, but it's true. Is if you don't know why you want to do something, then it's just not going to last.
Yep.
Like you have to have like a powerful why as to, okay, well, why do you want to have this business, or why do you want to do this project, or why do you want to make the switch from this way of eating to this way of eating, right?
Hmm.
And if it's not a compelling enough motivator, you're just not going to stick with it. It doesn't matter what it
Hmm.
is. It doesn't matter what lifestyle we're talking about, right?
Yep.
Um, and I think that there's a lot of kind of self reflection a person has to do, if they're really wanting to make serious improvements in their lives, And I always say improvements. I don't like using the word change. Like it's
Hmm.
rare that you'll see me say, "Oh yeah, I changed the way I eat." No, I improved the way I eat. Change, people don't look forward to change.
Hmm.
It's daunting, right? It's kind of scary and unknown. But improvement, psychologically, improvement's like, oh, okay, something better is around the corner, right? So, I didn't change my diet. I just improved the way I ate. I didn't change the way I live. I just improved the way I live. That's how
I
I
like
look
that.
at it.
I'm gonna have to start using it. That's actually the power of that
Yeah,
is
I used to do
I
that.
like that.
I used to do that a lot at the martial art dojo, right? So
Hmm.
if I was changing the schedule, right,
Hmm.
I made the mistake the first time saying, "Oh, we're changing the schedule." Man, people don't like change, man. They don't like it. I got a lot of pushback. But the following year, when I said, "You know what? We're making some amazing schedule improvements," they're like, "Ooh, what do you got planned for us, Blas?" It was different, right? I was
Hmm.
still changing the damn schedule, but the verbiage was different. So they
Hmm.
got excited over improvement, but they got worried and concerned over change. So,
That's interesting, man.
yeah,
I like that concept because I use kind of the same concept when it comes to like plans. I don't like to make plans when it comes to my personal goals. I like to make strategies because I always feel like a plan can have holes that you can fall through, whereas a strategy allows you to adapt and overcome. And so hearing a change versus improvement, I like that. Like I definitely want to add that to my repertoire of how I speak because I that's kind of why I wanted to do this podcast too. Is it allows me to get individuals other individuals take on life and how they do things, and it's allowed me to learn how to speak better and be able to interact with people on a better level and improve myself. So I'm definitely gonna remember that. I like that.
yeah, and I think, and when you have a strategy, right? If you can plan accordingly, then things become simple, right? And in some cases they're easy, in some cases they're not. So let's take the transition into plant-based way of living or vegan way of living. I want people to understand that it is easy, and that's why we call it easy vegan 1 2 3, kind of off the saying like it's easy as 1 2 3, the little idiom that people say. But it is easy, but it is a mind. You have to have a mind shift, right? So but like I said, it's only easy if you're educated about, okay, how to make the transition in the first place, what to expect during your transition, not just from how you're going to feel or what you're going to eat, but what to expect from your social circles, right? What to expect when people find out that you've made this improvement and that you're eating this new way. What are some questions that people are going to have for you? What are some criticisms that people are going to have for you? um, Not everybody's going to be your cheerleader, and that's cool. Don't expect everybody to support you. um, some people won't understand why you're doing it, and that's cool too. But for me, there's a reason why I don't mind sitting at the table with people who are eating like meat and all that stuff. And I'll sit at the table with non-vegan people over dinner because, dude, almost every time the conversation, they always start the conversation and ask me about what I'm eating. I never ever talk about anybody else's meal. I don't criticize anybody else's meal, but people are like, "Oh man, what are you eating over there?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just eating this." "Oh, you don't eat meat?" That's how it starts. I don't even tell them I'm vegan. Um,
Hmm.
and that's how the dialogue gets started. I'm just about
Hmm.
opening dialogue, man, because yeah, I want to um, make an impact, a positive impact anyways. And I want to shed some light on this way of living for other people. And if they,
But you're not forceful about it, which
yeah,
is
no, not at all.
what
If
makes
they
it.
go 100% vegan, cool. If they
Hmm.
eat if they eat 1 to 2 plant-based meals a week, I consider that a win.
Yep.
2 meals a week is better than no meals a week. You know what I mean? Because you can't expect to you can't expect anybody to just like turn a 180 all of a sudden, you know? Um, and again, that my philosophy does not definitely sit in line with a lot of other vegans, and I don't really care. But that's just the way that I've always approached things. I don't believe in forcing my beliefs and like getting in people's face about this. But I definitely want to always be open minded. I always want to create open dialogue over it, not in a forceful way, but I just always want it to come from a place of real compassion and love, man. Boil down to it. That's all it's about. And just leave it up to people to make their own stinking choices. you know?
Yeah, and the way you guys are approaching your videos, I definitely feel that. Like I said, there's a genuineness in your videos, and there's a non forcefulness to it as well. And that's why, like I said, for me, I'm a meat and potatoes guy. But when I see these recipes and I see the way this food turns out, I'm like, man, that looks good. Like I said, that nacho cheese you made, I want to try that. And I told the wife, like, I need to get me a blender that can handle that time that it takes to blend, but the consistency's there, the color's there. Like, if it tricks my brain into making me think that it's cheese, then great. Like, again, I'm open to trying those things, but it's because I know where it's coming from. It's not coming from a forceful stand. Um, so with that being said, your YouTube channel is called Vegan 123, correct?
Yeah. Vegan 1, 2, 3. Easy vegan 1, 2, 3.
Easy Vegan 123. So yeah, anybody who's listening, like, go check them out if you've been interested in wanting to change your diet, or you're just looking for some really cool recipes and kind of want to try something a little bit different, even if you're not going down the vegan realm. Like, that's basically where I'm standing at it. Is I'm not looking to become 100% vegan, but the recipes are interesting. And I know that for me as a father to my kids, I definitely want to eat a lot healthier. I want to be able to eat healthy myself. So when I tell my kids to eat healthy, they're not looking at me like, well, how come I got to eat vegetables, but dad's over there sucking down a steak? How come he doesn't have to eat it? So like the vegan option, that because it's there, I definitely am excited to try it, so I can also have my kids try it. Because at the end of the day, I want my kids to eat healthy as well. I don't want my kids shoveling fast food in their gullets. I don't want them to become overweight before they're in first grade. So definitely check out that. Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of come across in this episode and talk about?
No, man, just I mean, there's a lot of stuff I could talk about. We don't even have the time for it. But that's related to to the vegan lifestyle. But no, man, I mean, I think we covered the core, I guess, focus of really what I wanted people to understand. I wanted people to understand that you know, eating vegan, eating plant based can be fun, can be abundant. The food is amazing and delicious and healthy, and you don't have to be this this you don't have to be on a soapbox, you know what I mean, like telling people that they're awful humans for not eating your way or whatever. You know, that you can be cool, man, that there's other cool vegans out there that just want to share their lifestyle. They want to share what they've discovered, but they want to share it in a cool way. You know what I mean? Um, so we do have our YouTube channel, Easy Vegan 123. We also have, that's our website, which is still under construction, but you can still get on our newsletter there, easyvegan123.com. And then you can follow us on Facebook as well.
Awesome. And is it like a Facebook group, or is it just like
No, it's
a
just a Facebook page, man. Yeah, just go over
cool?
there, like it, follow us, man. You know, show us some love. Again, whether you're vegan or not, you know, that's not even the point. We just want to spread the love as much as we can, make an impact where we can, and make a hell of a lot of vegan nacho cheese on the way.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I really enjoyed it. And this is first of many, I hope. I hope to have you back on if you're willing to come back onto the podcast. And definitely by that time, I'll have sharpened my talons, and hopefully I can be better at my interviewing. This was, like I said, you're my first guest, or my second guest. So I'm still working things out. But I definitely enjoyed the conversation, and I hope to have you back again.
Oh, man, I'd love to. Thank you for the opportunity. And you're doing a great job, man. It's awesome.
Thank you, man. Yeah, man. I noticed we've been keeping in touch a lot more, and just from the bottom of my heart, like I'm glad that I've been able to keep in touch with you. You're one of the few family members that I stay in touch with, and I'm just glad that we're able to kind of build that relationship. And I'm always rooting for you. Everything that you do, even though you may not hear me speak about it much, I'm always rooting for you.
Awesome, man. Thank you. You don't have to lie, dude. I'm the coolest of the family members. Just let's just be real with it right there. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I know for sure that, like, I know which side of the family I definitely share the more blood with, because like Theo Ray, you, me, my cousin Josh, we all look very similar. We all act similar, so we definitely are cut from the same cloth.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Well, thanks again, man, for the opportunity for talking about it, and I can't wait to come back.
yes, sir. And for everybody listening, thank you for tuning in. As always, enjoy your Friday, enjoy your weekend, stay safe, and until next time.